Yay!
Okay, we're live.
It's
Okay.
live.
Hi to
Hi.
everyone
Yes.
who might be watching at a very short notice.
Have we tweeted about this?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Stephanie did. Yeah.
I'm just going to retweet it. Oh,
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. Smart.
live now. Oh, no. I don't want to add another tweet. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's tuned in at the moment, but
Well,
we might carry on with it anyway.
Yeah.
We'll kick off with an apology for our disorganisation this month. We just coordinating schedules with people in multiple time zones with various holiday plans
Yep.
has been difficult, and we were meant to be live 2 weeks ago, but then we had various internet troubles and people were ill and it didn't work out. So we're live now.
Yeah.
Slightly different lineup than we thought we were going to have as well, but never mind.
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of like people have struggled to read it because they've been on holiday and stuff like that. Is that
Yeah.
nice? Give me 2 seconds. Where are my headphones? I don't know. I found them.
Excellent.
So so we had a few people that were struggling to read the book anyway, didn't they? Got the book here.
Including
Yeah, that's
me.
what I was trying to say when the sound was going crazy, which I've now fixed.
Yeah, there was a weird squeaky noise, but I can't hear it.
Yeah.
Whatever you've done.
Success. Headphones.
So we're talking about The Space Between Worlds. I struggled to get into it, but once I was into it, I really enjoyed it, but it did take me a bit of effort to get through. I know we had a couple of people in the group that couldn't get through it for whatever reason, pacing issues, just not in the right frame of mind for it. I think it's a book you really have to be concentrating on. That's my initial takeaway. And also it was another one, a bit like The Unbroken that we read a couple of months ago. It was very unpredictable. I thought, like, there were certain bits where I was like, I think I know what's going to happen. But actually, a lot of the time when I thought that, what I thought was wrong, a lot of the time it's just like, I have no idea what's going to come next. So
I love that though.
Yeah.
I think I had quite different experience because I listened to it.
Okay.
And I really, really enjoyed it just throughout.
Yeah.
Like, but possibly just because, like, when I'm listening, I'm often kind of multitasking, so I don't mind if it's kind of doing something a bit different or something like that. But I didn't struggle to connect too much. I do know what you mean. I think if I was reading it physically, I probably would agree. But listening to it, I just didn't experience that at all. So it's really interesting, everyone being like, oh, I'm struggling a little bit. And I think most people got through it, but just were like, didn't connect in the same way. Although I think those of us who finished actually did go, oh yeah, we liked it. So
yeah, so for me it was interesting. I started it before I went to Arizona and was like, okay, one, this is not at all what I expected. And I think I read like 120, 150 pages or so. And I was like, this is really focused on the games. And I just wasn't really into it. But then I put it down because I didn't want to bring it with me out to Arizona. But then picked it up once I got back, and I think that break really helped me because I was like, okay, I'm more, I guess, prepared for this type of story, and I do think it picks up a lot more in the second half anyway. So that part went a lot better, but I think for me it was just kind of all over the place with the reading experience, so I ended up going with 3 stars. But yeah, it just like was not the type of story I expected, basically.
I'm now looking up to see what I gave it. I think I gave it 4.
I think you did too, yeah.
I think I can't remember what I gave it. I think 4.5. But I possibly on Goodreads rounded it up to 5.
I've got
check both my apps now.
I think I rated it the lowest out of everybody.
Yeah, I've got 4.
Yeah, I gave it 4.5 on Storygraph, which I think I probably rounded up to 5 on Goodreads.
Okay, yeah.
But it was just, the second half, once I got into it. And I mean, I don't think I'm trying to remember because I read this a month ago, 2 weeks ago. When did I read this? Like, I'm reading all over the place at the moment. I was reading so much in July because I was doing book a day.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the first thing I picked up after doing that. So I was feeling a little bit slumpy, I think that was the problem. But I didn't read it quite quickly, but yeah, particularly from part 2, like I feel like part 2 was where I really started to get into it and like was on board. And yeah, I think let's talk a little bit about expectations before we go into anything too spoilery, hopefully. So I think I was expecting more world hopping. I was expecting it to be about like the differences between the worlds, and I wasn't expecting it to be so political. Because to me, actually, it ended up reading a lot like a political thriller, just with sci-fi elements. But that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was thinking it was going to be a bit like, if you've read To Be Taught If Fortunate, the Becky Chambers novella, which I know is a different style of book, but like where they go and explore the different worlds. And I think that's what I was expecting it to be about, the exploration of these different worlds and how they differ to our world and that sort of thing. And that wasn't that wasn't it.
No, that's fair. I don't think I knew what to expect. Like I had like interest on it from when it came out. I think I had it on NetGalley as well, probably. And I didn't actually know that much about it, other than the fact that I thought the cover was pretty, and I'd obviously read the blurb at some point and gone, that sounds really interesting. So when we picked it, I was like, brilliant, I need to read that. Like, I'm quite excited to read that. No idea what it's about, which is not uncommon if you believe me. And so I think that's quite good. But I do love politics and books. So like when that sort of stuff came out, and there was lots of like, oh, there's some secrets going on, there's some mystery elements. I was like, these are all things that I stand. I'm good for this. This is fine.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm trying to remember. Like, I definitely remember Amber reading it a while ago, and I remember she had been annoyed at, I think, the limited number of like universes you can travel to, and like that was all I really remembered about it. Which, like, I kind of had issues with that as well. Like, I know they try to explain it in the book, but I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. But yeah, so I went in basically kind of expecting a really fast-paced sci-fi thriller with a lot of travel to these different, like, I guess the different worlds in the multiverse. And I kind of thought, like, the plot against, like, that's endangering the entire multiverse would be completely different than what it was. And so I think... I don't know. And I think Angela's comparison to A Memory Called Empire is really good, because that one didn't work for me either. And I think, like, I do enjoy politics, but I think I like it more in a fantasy setting instead of sci-fi. Like, sci-fi, I think I want more like space opera, fast-paced stuff, because I'm apparently very picky about my sci-fi, I guess.
See, that's interesting, because I don't think it's too similar to Memory, but I did love that as well. So yeah, maybe that's
I think
not incorrect.
Like the pacing and like the politics. I think that's where she was kind of getting
and it's not quite what you're expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. And not in terms of necessarily the plot, but the fact that it's very focused on the politics. Well, I suppose, and in terms of character, like Mahit in A Memory Called Empire and Kara here are both continually thrown into situations that they don't quite know who they can trust and what they can do, which is probably why I ended up loving it, because that's what I loved about Empire as well. I'm a destination called Peace, and I was struggling, and then it got to a point where Mahit was like, I don't know who I can trust. I was like, and I'm back. This is so probably one of the things that when she gets to that, as we may be starting to delve into spoilery territory here. I'll see if I can put up a banner when she gets to that second. There we go. That was
that's so fancy.
I know. Is it, which one is it? So she's from Earth 22, and then she goes into Earth 175.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And the person that saves her is the person that has tortured her on her own Earth, and so she's like, oh, I don't know, like, this is really.
I loved that.
And that was what started to grab me, and I was like, oh, she doesn't know if she can trust him, and all the politics, and so that's when it kind of really grabbed me. I think.
I definitely agree. I think it, like, early on, I was like, so she's not who she says she is. Like, and then that's confirmed quite early, and I was like, okay, fab. And I was quite enjoying that because I was like, oh, I can spot that coming, but it's like it's quite interesting, it's quite cool. And I think on 175, like I like the bit where Nick is the guy saving her, but actually I think there's some bits there where it starts and you're like, oh, okay, who can I trust? I'm like, I didn't actually enjoy that quite as much as when you get going and you sort of begin to go, okay, he's actually a good guy. She's got some baggage, which is I really enjoyed anyway.
Yeah.
But then it kind of gets into the other stuff, which absolutely blew my mind when she realised who the other guy was. Is it Adam? I call him Adam. Yeah. And I was just like, I did not see that coming. It was so good.
Yeah, I think I had a similar reaction. I thought it was done really cleverly with the revelation coming so soon that she wasn't who we thought she was.
Yeah, because I thought that was going to get dragged out.
Yeah. Because then you're like, oh, so straight away, this isn't what I thought it was. And I felt then as a reader like I was constantly on the back foot, and like that was really quite unsettling, but in a good way. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know who I can trust in this situation. But the fact that it was also all from her perspective meant we were just taken along for this ride with her. And I think with a different character that maybe wouldn't have worked so well. But Kara was a character that I could really root for from the start. Like the way the premise is set up, that and I hadn't necessarily thought this through because I knew the premise, but the reasons why she's died on so many worlds and why there's this pool of people that they use to do this job because they're from deprived backgrounds and therefore are more likely to be dead on other worlds. And like that whole classism thing just from the start was like, that was really intriguing to me. But yeah, that kind of feeling of from the start of being like, okay, this has already gone different to what I expected, and how is this going to define my expectations next? And I was kind of expecting then the unexpected.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely, the classism stuff was amazing, and I was just I really liked how that played out, because originally I thought, oh god, okay, they're not going to delve into this as much as I thought they would, and I would have liked. And then by the end, I was like, okay, I'm happy. Because actually it really is dealt with quite well. And yeah, I thought it was very clever and very well written as well, from like kind of not being too subtle, but also not being kind of like, I want to say in your face, but I don't think that's really what I mean. Like, yeah, it's obviously a factor throughout, but it's not discussed until later. And I think that's actually kind of, it really works for the book.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
That hair on my eye.
I'm just kind of like thinking, I didn't really like Kara all that much to begin with, but I think like as we start to learn more about her and like her background on Earth 22, that's when I was like, okay, like I'm starting to piece you together, and I definitely grew to like her a lot more. But at first, I think also just going in having completely the wrong idea. I think I was feeling slumpy, like none of that was good. But returning to it, I guess that was last week. I think that was really helpful, and I felt a lot more positive about the characters in general. And also I think with the like second half, you start to see her bond with her sister a lot more. And I really liked that part a lot. So I think just those things. And like, I think she starts to be more connected to the other characters and like building these relationships and realizing like, oh yeah, okay, so I do have like allies and friends who care about me. And just like realizing that those are so important. I think that also really helped me like her a lot more.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see her think of herself as a loner and actually realize throughout the book that she is completely not. Like, and there are people who have figured her out and still support her. And like the sister in this, like especially like both on 175 and on Earth 1, I was just like, I love this relationship.
There were a couple of moments that made me really emotional, and the first one of them was when Esther reveals that she's known all along that Kara Lee isn't Kara.
Oh my god.
And I was just like, oh, my heart.
I know, that was so good.
Yeah, and the explanation of how she knew, and that the difference between Coralie and Caramenta as characters and how that was explored. And I thought, actually, reflecting on it, thinking about it in the last couple of days, like the way the book explores the differences between nature and nurture, and how like different environments can create differences in people's characters. Like Coralie having to fight constantly to survive meant that she had much more empathy than Caramenta, who was kind of handed everything, despite being from a deprived background, was actually quite privileged in that sense. Makes sense. Like, compared to Coralie, Caramenta had everything like she needed, and opportunity and chances. And yeah, she was really quite bigoted and quite self-righteous.
Yep.
And definitely the self-bigoting bits. It's not really, like, but the self-denial and stuff like that, and how that affected her as a person is really, really interesting.
I thought that moment with Dell when they kind of talked that out, I was like, oh boy, that was a big moment, I think. And like, I think I kind of felt like Dell was really standoffish at first, and then
then you understand that actually Cara's been tormenting her for years.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. I think that was really interesting as well, and I liked that conversation and just getting to know what had happened, I guess, with Caramenta.
Yeah. And I thought similarly with Nick as a character, like even though we only got glimpses of him in other worlds, we got to see him most in World 175, but through Kara's memories and of him in the different worlds, like the world where he hadn't had as much interaction with the abusive father, up to lead in a negative way, he'd actually developed into a leader with good characteristics, and I thought that was a really interesting comparison as well.
Yeah, the difference between Earth 22 and Earth 175 Nick was quite intense.
Yeah,
and I like that when we finally kind of really get to see him on Earth 1, that you sort of have a little bit of middle ground, like closer to 22, but like a little bit of middle ground, and actually it's kind of that's what's going on. But it's like there's a lot.
Yeah,
definitely. I thought that was interesting. Like Earth 175 Nick was definitely the best. He was actually decent. But so I guess that was Earth 1, Earth 0, whatever.
Oh yeah.
We're basing
I'm calling it 1. It might have been 0.
I don't know. I don't remember. But so he was interesting because like clearly he's also very violent, but I think he had some like principles and had some honor. So like it was kind of like you said. I mean, certainly closer to Earth 22, but like a little less crazy and awful, I guess.
Yeah, quite possible. And I really liked, obviously, then that she knows enough about him to manipulate him.
Yeah.
Like, but how it all then plays out beyond then. And I'm just kind of like, at what point is spoilers do I kind of really ruin the ending? So I don't really want to do that too much. But like, I do like that she's just kind of like, you know what, I know enough about you on this earth to just be able to go along and be like, so that guy's not who you think he is. And like, how do you not know? And I'm oh my God. But like, I mean, if you don't see him and 10 years has passed, you might not.
That was crazy.
It's amazing. So it's just that proper was just excellent. And at one point I was like, oh no, he's going to get away with it. And then she went to Nick, and I was like, yes. But I definitely liked all of the underhandedness of it, of what Adam was doing, of what Nick goes on to do, and like, all of my favourite bits of a heist novel, but with death.
Yes.
And we all know I like a good stabby.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing I wasn't expecting, was kind of how dark this book got. Like, well, as I said, I was expecting like a happy romp through multiple universes.
Yeah, that's definitely not it.
That is not how I would describe
it.
No, definitely not. So there were some really deep, serious issues, and they were handled really well, I thought. But yeah, just that. I wouldn't like to. I don't know no one knows what the body count was, because we don't know how many people Adam has had killed in multiple universes. Even though she
so many
out at one point, doesn't she? What I did like was the nicknames of the gang members. I thought that was really
yeah.
How can you take someone called Mr. Cheeks seriously?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I like that they were all Mr. something regardless of gender.
Yeah,
that was quite cool.
Yeah, what was oh my god, who was it? The female.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
It took me a little bit.
Lady.
Yeah. But it took me a little bit. I was like, oh right, she is a woman. Like I got confused on the name.
I also like that she kind of didn't really seem to like Kara that much, but like you could sort of see her softening and being like, okay, well, this girl's not a complete bitch. It's okay. Like, I maybe can be nice to her now because I don't trust her.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yes, hey.
Welcome
in. I can't remember what I was gonna. I should have written down some points.
No, we're not. This is just a fun, unprepared moment. No, with Mr. Cheeks in particular, like I thought that was interesting to see him on the different worlds, Earths, I guess, and then like the relationship kind of, I guess, with Esther. And then
I really liked them.
Yeah, I did too. Well, like he seemed less awful, I guess, than some of the other characters.
Yeah.
So I liked when Kara was like, okay, you know, I can let this relationship happen if it does happen here.
Yeah.
But I like it that at first she was like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, and then she sort of softens up, and I was like, no, I'm standing them. That's cool. They're cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, like at first she was like, no, I'm keeping you away from each other, and then in the end she's like, oh damn it. Like,
like, well,
this has not worked.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of Michael and his journey to be a runner?
I don't know that I felt it was that necessary, but I kind of like it, I guess. I don't really know that it adds much, other than the fact that like Esther and him kind of continue having a great relationship, which I like.
I think because we'd seen it on Earth 175, it wasn't a surprise when it happened on Earth 0 or Earth 1 or whatever it's called.
Well, early on, she says he wants some onyx or something, and that's sort of a hint to it that I hadn't spotted until kind of like later on you realise the significance. I was like, oh, that's what that means.
Yeah.
But I think because of my context, like I know a number of like kids that grow up in like heavily church families where their parents are pastors tend to either go like into church leaderships themselves, or they go really far the other way. So you can see how that happened in Esther and Michael, that she took the dad's path and is really like focused and loves what she does and loves her community, and that Michael doesn't fit into that niche. He doesn't fit into that mold that she does, and so you can see why that would be really uncomfortable for him and that he would push against that and rebel. It has reminded me another moment that I really loved, and I think it's something that just because of what I do or what I'm training to do, I loved the funeral ritual that we.
Oh, that was great.
I thought it was really beautiful. So I love coming across stuff like that in different worlds, different books.
Yeah, I like all of the religious aspects, which I don't always. I think funerals I really did enjoy, but I like some of it I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. But I also like that it was like multi-theism, and that was fine. And the way that Esther's take on it was different than her dad's. And and seeing how that was, and like the rest of it very much is about the community and the people around her and everything like that. And I thought that was really lovely. So the visit out early on in the book, I found quite interesting, because she was saying, "Oh, I've not even got the right clothes. I've not got the right shoes. I haven't, like it's all about various things that you don't necessarily always think about." And actually, because she's going between these two different worlds on the same earth, like it was actually quite interesting to see that play out, as well as the visits to the different earths as well. I thought that kind of added a nice factor to it.
Yeah, and I thought that, like, I love it when titles of books start to make more sense, and like,
yes,
Kara as a character is constantly existing in this space between worlds, and not between the different parallel universes she's traversing, but also she's stuck between the world she grew up in, which isn't the world she now lives in, both in the sense of the universe, but also in the sense of the culture she lives in, because she's moved from a deprived area to a privileged area, but she doesn't really fit in either anymore. And I thought that was a really fascinating study as well of that kind of feeling of kind of this idea of immigration, and how, like, what it feels like to be an immigrant stuck between the societies and cultures.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I think definitely with the addition of Dal as well, like really kind of being that higher class in a city sort of variant of that, where, like she could probably have fit in elsewhere, but no, she wants Dal, and that's like, oh my god, you're going really to the extreme. And actually kind of like, we don't see that on the page too much, but we see Kara sort of her knowing that, which I thought was quite a nice, interesting way of showing it.
Yeah,
there was a lot of introspection in this that I thought was really, really well done.
Yes,
like even when Kara is completely wrong, like it was still well done.
Yeah.
So should we talk? Carry on.
Oh, no, I was just gonna be like, okay, so I guess without really delving too deep into like the actual ending, what did you just think about like the overall tone of it? Because I was like, this seems overly positive for the rest of the book, and so I kind of felt like there was a little bit of a mismatch, and I'm like, I kind of like it, but I also kind of don't. I don't know. I'm very conflicted, I guess.
I mean, we're well into the spoilery section now, I think. So we can talk a bit more openly about the ending. So you mean like the positivity of the ending, despite it being quite a shocking thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and I just felt like it ended up rushing a lot at the end, which I thought was strange compared to like how slow the rest of the book felt. So I was kind of just, I feel very conflicted, and I like them ending up together, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, maybe this was a little bit rushed, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
I know what you mean. I think kind of, I like that they obviously don't jump in, like, because it's some years later and they're still sort of like, it seems still quite tentative, and I quite like that. I like that we do get that sort of closure, I guess.
Yeah, I was trying to. I've got the book here. I was trying to look for the epilogue. I remember there being an epilogue, but it's not. It's just a paragraph. Where she said,
it's just like the last chapter or so, isn't it? Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I liked that, because I like the idea. I like it when books don't feel like they're finished when they're finished, if that makes any sort of sense. Like, you get the feeling
there's still stuff going on.
So I like books with epilogues, or books that don't end with the big climactic ending. And actually, even you think the heist bit is going to be the big climactic ending, but actually that doesn't resolve in the way Kara expects it to. But then backup plan of how she's still going to bring down Adam anyway. And I thought for me that really worked, because I think it was subtler.
It's perfect. No, I wanted to mention that. I think the way like if it had gone on and everything had gone off as planned, it wouldn't have been good. And actually I was like, that, like, she knows she can't kill him, why is she trying?
Yeah.
And actually in some ways part of me is like, well, maybe she always meant to do that. And actually, like, I thought it was absolutely perfect. It's absolutely what Adam deserved. And like, I like that we get to see glimpses of how it refocused him, and like his effect and everything like that, as well. So yeah, and I think kind of like what you were saying about the ending is very much about feeling like the characters continue to have lives beyond the book, and, you know, like still have goals and things that they want to do. And I thought that was quite fun. But it is quite, I think, kind of like, because that glimpse is short and sudden, I do know what you mean. It felt like quite rushed, but actually I think it's almost, it's not an afterthought, but it sort of feels a bit like it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was going to say before. Oh yeah. Shall we talk a bit about the slow burn kind of romance? Yeah. Because we've already mentioned a little bit about like how Cara didn't know that a previous version of herself had really upset Dal.
Yeah.
And then to have that realization that she thought she was flirting all this time, and she's actually just been essentially torturing this woman that she really cares about, and couldn't understand why she was so standoffish.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Other than the fact that if I was Del, I think I probably would have lost my shit.
Oh yeah,
like, I would have been like, why are you continuing to torture me? Like, I loved everything about it. Even when I was like, God no, why are you doing this to each other? Like, I was just like, yes, I love this.
Yeah. And I liked the glimpses we saw of the Dells on other worlds as well.
Yeah.
And to have that to kind of round out her character as well. But the fact that she was always there whenever Cara needed it, even without Cara knowing or asking. Like the bit where she breaks into the to find the office, and it's just this whole booby trapped floor.
Oh my god!
And Del's there and just rescues her. I was just like, yes, Del.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I did not expect that to be her at all. And I was just like, yes, I know that you're like, you know, she might have treated you like crap for 4 years. Jesus, woman. But like, you know that she's still going to go off and be a dick and do what she's doing, and you are just going to be there and rescue her. And I was just like, Del, you are too pure.
Well, and then like at the funeral where she like tosses in the collar, I was like, oh goodness,
yeah,
looking out for us here.
Yeah.
And I think it's the one point where like because I think Cara's like a very intelligent person, and she's very savvy, and she's very good at figuring things out and finding her way out of things, completely oblivious to the fact that this woman is clearly crazy about her. All of this stuff that Del is doing to try and keep her safe and protect her. And she just doesn't see even the thing about like trying to get her to do more exercise.
Yeah,
I loved that. I was just like that I was just like, you really felt Cara being like, I hate you, but I love you, and I know this is how you show you. Like, love it.
Yes. Yeah, interestingly enough, I had a moment, I guess, on Earth 75 where, you know, we had the nicer Nick, and I was like, but maybe them? I don't know. I know like that was never going to happen, but I had a moment where I was like, I kind of want this to happen, even though it's probably not for the best.
Possibility.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That was the thing I was sad about with Nellene not surviving the version of Cara from that world, was that Nick and Nellene would have been lovely. But yeah, so that I was sad about that bit, but yeah, I had the similar moment of like, but it didn't ever quite go into love triangle territory, which I was glad about, because they are necessary in most books. Very few books where I think it's actually good to have a love triangle.
Yes.
No, it was more of a memory from the past, kind of being put to bed
Yeah,
than
exactly.
like a real possibility. And I think that was the right choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because I feel like it would have, I mean, like, clearly he was better, but I feel like it would still just bring up a lot of weird memories and be like, is this still, like, not a healthy relationship? So, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
Oh my God. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, just with like Nalene. Oh, that moment where she like Kara tricks, I guess, Adam of that world to, go in with her, and then Nalene jumps after. I was like, oh no, don't do it.
Yes. I think I was driving and I was like, no, what are you doing?
I think I was reading that
while driving.
Open, I was just like,
yeah.
every time I was reading that section, like,
yeah.
Well, and then it got like super dark with, I mean, just all the descriptions of, ways that travel can go wrong. It's like, Jesus, all right, we're going there. Like, all sorts of weird broken bits and like crumpling bodies in ways they shouldn't go.
And I liked the goddess type person there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, possibly a little unnecessary, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought that was
especially like the comments at the end.
Yeah. I definitely like that as well.
And the conversation she has with Adam when she gets back, when she kind of realizes the extent of his operation, that was just like, and the fact that he'd known all along and kind of planned it to bring her back instead of the original Kara. Like, I mean, that man's brain.
Yeah.
It for good.
I definitely would have loved slightly more on what the fuck he was doing.
Right, yeah.
like
what was his goal? What was he going to do? I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I think he was like, I just want someone I can manipulate and who obviously has fewer morals and stuff like that. And he was just like, okay, I can do that with this person. How did he find her? What was going on there? How did he set it up? What was his end goal? We don't know this. And that, I think, possibly my only real bit of frustration. I mean, it's not really a frustration because it's not from his point of view. But if I was Kara, I would have been like, what the
fuck? Yes. And did he know that Nalene wasn't actually dead? And was that a plan? I don't think we ever got.
I don't think he knew.
I don't know. I thought they had implied that he did because he wanted her to be like his, what was it? Oh my God, what is
maintenance?
Maintenance. Thank you. What is the word I'm looking for? Yeah, because I thought they had said that he wanted to recruit Kara for that.
Yeah,
but
he did. But then he didn't for ages, so I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that they had implied that he knew that Nalene was more of like the spy assassin type, I guess, and like wanted to bring her back. But yeah, it wasn't made explicitly clear, I think.
Yeah, because I think I remember that Kara was speculating, did he know, and was that why? Did he want Nalene instead of her? But I don't think we ever got a definitive answer.
Yeah.
And I can't decide. Like, I'd be surprised that he didn't know, but then everyone thought that Nalene was dead in that one.
Mm-hmm.
So how would he know that she wasn't if everyone else thought that she was? And I think it's just, that's a rabbit hole I could just go.
How did he know any of this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. And he can't have even sent her to try and kill the other him, because either situation, that is so unlikely a circumstance, and the only way it really came about was because she told the truth.
Yeah,
like, which he definitely does not advocate and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So it's definitely complex. There's some threading going on. I'm definitely going to be looking out for more books by Micaiah Johnson, though, because I was just like, what is your brain? I love it.
Yeah, because this was her debut as well.
I think so,
I think it was, yeah.
So for something so complex and so intricate.
So strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even though this wasn't like my favorite book, like I still enjoyed it overall, and I do think like that second half definitely picked up. But yeah, so it's like not my favorite, but I would still check out more books by the author for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So we haven't talked about the bit that actually made me cry.
Oh no.
I think we have to go there. I mean, because I speak French, I say his name as Jean.
Oh yes! Oh my god!
Jean, I guess would be the British way to pronounce it. So I don't know do you know how it was pronounced in the audiobook, Nikki? Do you remember?
I think it must have been Jean, because I'm sure I would have noticed if it was Jean.
Okay, so it's because I happen to be reading.
I'm now not sure though.
So
yeah, fair.
I think I also imagined it as Jean. So
yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
that
what do you think of him as a character to start with?
I really liked him. I thought, he's clearly done some bad things, but he's trying to atone for it. And I think, oh my god, just like seeing him take the blame for Kara, I was like, oh, he's oh, I don't know. That was a moment for sure where I was like, that's very sweet, and he's just like trying to protect her even though he knows that he's going to die, but it's worth it to him.
Yeah, and he's atoning for everything and everything like that. Like I liked him a lot. I didn't love him until really kind of that moment. I think only because he's sort of he's trying to rescue her, but also kind of like when the shit goes down, he's like, okay, well, this is just like how he is, and there's no changing it. Whereas I was frustrated by that, along with Kara kind of being like, no, that's not the right attitude. Like, but he is obviously a good person trying to do good things, and like, he was just in a situation where that was his only option, and I understand that. That's fine. But that was no longer true. He was practically famous, and like he had a bit more capability to be like, this Adam dude is dead. But it was just like, oh yeah, you can kill some rich folks, what do I care? And I was just like, no, that's not right. Like, I mean, yeah, kill the rich, but no.
I wonder how much he knew what she was going to do, and I wonder how much he was just kind of pushing her.
Maybe.
Because like as soon as she said what she was going to do, and
he was like, yeah, that's fine,
and he didn't really try and talk her out of it, and you knew that she'd been using his access.
Yeah,
you knew that, and he would have known.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what got me, because as soon as she said what she was going to do, I'm like, oh my goodness, Jean's going to get going to take the fall for her, isn't he?
I wasn't sure if it was going to be him or Del, so it was like, I thought him, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the way it played out, where she follows.
Oh, when she was running to try and rescue him, I was like, I don't like.
Yeah. I think I put on our Discord chat just like the crying emoji, because I was just like, I can't, like, even though I knew it was going to happen, that was the one thing that I did predict in the book. And so even though I knew it was coming, or maybe because I knew it was coming, just the impact of that on me, it was just like, whoa. Yeah.
I also really liked how he pushed her to try to be an analyst. I think that was really fun for me. Like, of course, like analyzing data. Yes, that is what I want from my characters. But I just like that whole aspect. And like, he's clearly pushing her to one, like secure her future, but also like by doing that, I think she is kind of realizing more of what's going on. And just, there are things happening here that are not quite right. Yeah. So I thought that was nicely done.
I think it was only after the book I realised that actually that wasn't just about him trying to rescue her and help her with her future and stuff like that. I think it probably was him trying to be like, look at everything that is going on, maybe try and figure out some of, like what maintenance are up to and stuff like that. And actually, obviously, it didn't quite work out like that. But I think it probably would have. And actually, I like the fact that we get to see her use it on 175 as well.
Yeah.
Like data analyst hearts, like you and me were like, love this.
Yeah, but I also like the fact that he was family for her. Like, even though on that world she did have family, it felt like sometimes like he was more her family than
well, he knew what she was going through and what she was doing, can imagine that traversing is pretty intense.
Yeah. Do you know if he knew that she wasn't Caramenta? I can't remember.
No,
if
he didn't.
I don't remember. For some reason, I thought like most people knew, but I could be completely off on that.
No, well, it was Esther knew because we knew Esther knew because she said she knew, and Adam knew because he planned it. I was surprised that Del didn't suspect until it was kind of revealed to us.
Yeah,
because how closely together they worked. That was one thing that was a bit like, well, you know, if she cares about her this much and she pays this much attention to her, surely she'll notice a complete change of character.
I know, right?
Yeah, but they didn't know each other that long beforehand. I think they'd only kind of like met, almost hooked up, and then she was on the mission. So it was just kind of But I don't think she told him even before he died. I don't think he knew.
No, I don't think he knew. But he felt like this grandfather figure, not just for his own, but for all of all of the Traversers, which I thought was just it was he was a really lovely character, but also, like, as you say, a tortured past and like a complex. He wasn't just a good guy, he was someone trying to atone for the wrong that he'd done in the past. So in some ways, I don't know if the inspiration of the name, but like Jean Valjean is a good character comparison.
Maybe it was. I quite like that as a concept.
I'm always looking for like literary connections like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, okay, so I had mentioned like Amber, her review, talking about like the limited number of the multiverses, I guess, Earths, whatever. What did you think about that? Because like she clearly tries to explain, okay, you can only travel to worlds in which like it's similar enough. Like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But like, why is there just a limited number of those worlds? Like, why would there not be a little bit at least increasing, you know? Like, I think minute decisions would probably not change things too much, but like surely there would be like an infinite number spawning off of like each decision that somebody makes.
Yeah, I definitely think that. So I mean, certainly what I know of like multiverse theory and stuff like that is that's where people lean. I liked that you know, I think was it 382 is the number that's sticking in my head. So like that's what I'm going with. I quite like that. I did like that we had the discussion of the one that went too far and like had to be taken off. I like the fact that we had lots of discussion of then things were too different and things like that. But actually, I find it really weird that I was like, okay, you were alive on all of these worlds where like there wasn't too much discussion of people who'd never existed, and actually so many of the decisions that were different to make the worlds different were very much based in the current generation and not like 1,000 years before.
Yeah.
And I think that's like maybe that's where things go. So as things come in, things go out. So like if a decision had been made 1,000 years before, it made the world too different. But then a new decision would have come in and that would have brought that one in. I don't know. Like maybe it's sort of like maybe it's a fluctuating average. I quite like that idea. But, yeah.
I think
definitely a low number.
All the same generation that maybe it have like a certain number of the same people existing in it for it to be similar enough. Factor out like where big decisions have meant like catastrophic changes to certain places don't exist at all in that world anymore. You know, maybe it is that thing of like even what feels like a minor difference in one world is actually enough of a shift for it to not be an accessible world. I don't know. I think, a bit more exploration of that would have been nice, but then it also would have felt maybe a bit too info dumpy because Kara clearly knew enough about that. If we'd had maybe chapters from Adam's perspective,
maybe he definitely would have been wondering about that. He definitely would. But I think actually kind of like if you like they've only been traversing for what, like 10 years? Is it something, it's something like that, isn't it? Yeah. So like maybe it is something that they don't really know about yet, and they're like, these are the 382, and they've not really kind of thought about it other than that one disappearing. And I'm like, actually, it'd be interesting to see as time went on if new ones did come in, if ones disappeared more and stuff like that. And then they were like, oh wait, hold on, why is this going on? Like, yeah, like, but yeah, that's I like that. Oh god, I could have a whole science thing. We need to get Angela on that.
Yes.
Like that's our next science video.
Tell us about the multiverse.
Yeah, and I thought the concept of you can only exist in one world at one time, I thought that was a really clever concept.
Yeah.
It's
like
not
that a lot.
uncommon actually. I've seen that before and I like that. It's always a nice loophole. Like I had my moments of like Quantum Leap and Sliders, and I was there going, I love that.
I feel like with like a lot of like time travel or multiverse hopping, like if you have characters seeing themselves on other worlds or whatever, like things don't tend to go well, and then you have all these consequences. So I think that was an interesting way to deal with it, and like I liked that I guess aspect was kind of addressed. Yeah,
I don't know how good that is as a science point, but I think from a fictional point of view, there's a reason that has always been the case, and that's because it's going to be a bloody nightmare to write.
So, shall we talk a little bit about similar books?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, God.
So we said, like, in terms of like characterization and maybe a little bit like politics stuff, A Memory Called Empire, I can see how that you could say if you enjoyed this, you probably enjoyed that, even though they're very different in terms of plot. You get that sense of a single character a little bit out of their depth, trying to find their way in a political situation that they don't fully understand.
Yeah, I think kind of, I don't know about similar, but I think anything kind of a little bit politicsy and where you're not sure who to trust is going to be quite similar, but most of the ones I know are more fantastical than sci-fi, I think.
Yeah.
Now thinking.
I know, so I'm like, what books have I read? I forget every single thing I've ever read.
I literally just sorted out my bookshelves and I still don't remember any of the books I just read.
I've just recently edited my book diary for The Unbroken. Actually, in terms of how the book made me feel, like there are a lot of similarities in terms of like the variable pacing and the unpredictability of it. Like that was another book when I was reading that I was really didn't know where it was going to go. And while there was a lot of plot, it still felt very character driven because it was decisions that impact on how the plot goes. And I thought that was the same with this book. So even though that, again, that's a fantasy and like quite a political fantasy, it's another one that I'd say has a similar kind of feel, kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Also a dark story as well in a lot of ways.
I'm now going to look at the picture I just took of my bookshelves and be like, what else have I got that's sci-fi? I read so much sci-fi as well. Like, I
feel like it's challenging to think of more sci-fi ones just because, like I said, I tend to lean more towards like sci-fi horror or like space opera. So this one is a little different than that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think kind of, to me, actually, maybe a little bit like Mask of Mirrors.
Interesting. I haven't read that one yet either. I need to.
Well, I haven't read The Unbroken yet. So, failing on past book club books all together. But I think again, because there's a lot of like, who can I trust, and different sorts of politics there. I'm just like, oh god, what else have we got? We do like a political book. Now I'm looking at it. Yeah, a lot of my other ones are space operas.
Yeah,
I mainly read space operas and sci-fi.
I mean, I love a space opera, don't get me wrong. But I think that's what I like about what I really liked about Memory Called Empire is that it's not like it's something set on a planet and it's still sci-fi and it can still be something that is quite cool. And even Desolation for Peace, where you're obviously off the planet, like it's still not a space opera. So yeah, maybe that's what we need. Rex for non-space opera, but space set sci-fi.
I'm just looking at the readers also enjoyed.
That's what I was about to look up.
Nice, good choice.
Foundry side on there, and I can see how that might be considered similar in some ways, like some of the political stuff. Not being sure who you can trust. It's about a year since I read Foundry Side, so
I don't know. I feel like the pacing is completely different.
Yeah.
What am I doing right now? I'm like trying to look. Getting distracted.
But I sometimes think like at least maybe 30-40% of pacing is enjoyment. Because if I'm not enjoying a book, it feels slower because I'm inclined to pick it up and read it. Whereas if I am enjoying a book, it feels faster. So
definitely.
Yeah.
I was just looking at mine actually, kind of like I do have a few other sci-fi ones, but they're like very different things, like kind of this Cool Design, which is like biohacking type stuff, which is awesome. And like the Brendan Reich's Nemesis type series, which is again very, very different. But I was just looking there, and there's Daniel Rollins' Dark Stars trilogy, which is a YA time travel type one, but it has got little bits of mystery, it has got little bits of who can I trust in politics. So I think it's quite a different vibe, but actually I feel like kind of maybe it is quite, I think maybe it would be something people might enjoy if they enjoyed this. I certainly really enjoyed both. But I think, it's different because it is YA and it is a little bit more fun and silly, but I think actually there's quite a lot of similar elements, even though I wouldn't have said, like off the top of my head, are they similar? I'd probably be like, well, probably not. But actually, now I'm like analysing it, I'm like, actually, all the stuff we've talked about, a lot of that is in there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I'm not sure, well, I don't know. I maybe just want to recommend this book, but Do You Dream of Terror 2?
Yeah.
I need to read that. I haven't. I have not read it yet.
I haven't got that.
It's another book that was very different from what I was expecting, because I thought it was again going to be about them getting to this new world and like what the new world was like, but actually it was just a really in-depth character study of these people that have been thrown together that wouldn't have necessarily been picked to go together, and like something happens quite near the beginning of the story, but I'm not going to say what it was, that throws off who is going on this mission, and they have like last minute changes to the crew and how that like impacts and what the event was.
I've completely forgotten so much of that book.
And so like, and I mean, I really, really loved that book. It is a bit more of a space opera vibe. It's not about space travel, but it is again about how characters react to the situations they find themselves in that aren't necessarily what they expect. So maybe that's in some ways is a similar vibe to this book.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to read that soon and see how I do with it. I feel like I'm going to like that one better just based on what I've heard about it, but I'm curious. Yeah.
I think you probably will.
Yeah, I think
your taste, but I don't know. I feel like I need to reread that because I remember really enjoying it, but I read it a couple of years ago now. I don't remember a whole lot about it, and I'm like, oh, but I don't have a copy, so that's probably for the best. She says, looking at her giant shelves of TBR.
It was the other one I nominated when I nominated The Stolen Kingdom, and it came second in the poll, and I was like, well, I still really want to read this, so I got it out and read it anyway.
And then next we've got, what's our next book? Oh, we're going to read We Have the Flame.
Yeah,
and I might reread it because I need to read the sequel.
Yeah, I need to read the sequel. It's one of those things where, like, I think, what did I rate it? I think I rated the first one 3.5 stars. Like, I don't know if it's something.
I think I was about the same.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it. I don't know if I want to reread it though. But I'm like, how much of it do I remember? Can I jump right into the sequel? I remember every single book.
Maybe what I just need to do is go to the live show, and then I will remember enough.
Yeah.
3.5.
It was one of those books that I pre-ordered because I was so excited about it and got it on release day and still haven't read it.
Yep. I know that.
I don't know what you mean. I never do that.
No, I think that's the only time in my life that has happened. Anyway, but I'm really excited to pick it up.
Bookworm problems.
Reading it when I get back to Bristol. So after I finish A Desolation Called Peace, that's my next on my list to pick up. And I did just get the sequel as well, so I might read them next to each other, but I very rarely back-to-back series. I
still need to read Illusionary.
Same here. Okay, we should read that together. Let's do it.
We said this like 3 times. We're actually going to do it.
Yes.
I can see it.
Channel. We still want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. And then have we got a book beyond We Hunt the Flame?
I think it's Nine Fox Gambit one.
Yes.
September.
Yes, and I'm very excited
Yeah.
The
That's the
book
other
is
one.
on
Like,
Scribd. I have the actual paperback. I'm
Yes.
good. I can read
Yes.
it however I want.
Yeah, I need to order my copy.
Mhm.
I'm going to order it probably. Well, yeah, I'm going back home tomorrow, so I'll probably order it before I go back.
Mhm.
So it arrives soon. Yeah,
That'll
so
be an interesting one to discuss because it is crazy. Like very complex sci-fi.
cool.
Yeah, well, I think kind of I really liked that we've had a few sci-fi books now, because I think we tried with, was this one we were trying for sci-fi?
We have sometimes we
we did it
tend
on one of them. I can't remember if it was this one. Or
sci-fi.
one.
So
Yeah,
every so often we're like, oh, let's nominate just sci-fi for the next one.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like that No Fox Camper came out with, because we were doing second chance books as well. Like, that was a really nice idea. So I like
was
when we
also-
have little themes.
Yes, it's also a lot easier because I literally just had to look back through and like no thought, just vote.
Yeah.
So I was really struggling to think of something to nominate this time around.
Yeah.
So it was good to have a couple of months, because also we just all agreed that we all wanted to read We Hunt the Flame, didn't we? So
I think,
more or
I think
less.
that's what has
So we
happened.
didn't
Well, I agreed I wanted to read the sequel, not realizing everyone else was talking about the first book,
Yeah.
because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
That was but I'm looking forward to discussing that one. I think there's a lot to unpack on that one, so that's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be doing that in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we will.
We got a date.
That yet. No, we need to. We will let you know on Twitter, on Discord, when we have those details. I mean, it's just, I think it's one of the things with summer, everyone is busy doing different things all the time, so we haven't been able to fix down the details for that yet, but we will do that, and we will hopefully be able to stick to the plan.
Yeah, as things have been opening up a little bit more, obviously we're all kind of getting out and being a bit more busy, but it's nice to have the get-togethers still, so I will try and make that one.
Yeah. So, well, I think we can leave it there. So thank you to everyone who is either watching now, both of you, or anyone who catches up on this later. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just realised we didn't actually introduce ourselves at the beginning. Shall we introduce ourselves now? Is that weird?
I mean, we had our name bars up
We
before
did.
the spoiler bar came up. Because I added Lily Cat to mine because her tail was just like there constantly.
Oh my god! I didn't even see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's now on the floor. But
this is who we have been, and thank you for watching us. And check out our channels if you want more from us. Check out the Space Sirens Twitter, where we've got all of the members of, like, the kind of founding members of the group, I guess we should put it, are involved in picking the books. But other than that, we will
hold on. Oh, I can't add it in here. Let me. Can you type in !! Discord? I think that's going to bring up our Discord.
Ooh!
!Discord.
It should do. I might have mucked that up. It might not. I thought I added this to YouTube. I tested it, but it might not work.
Is it in like the comments, or does it work with live streams?
Yeah, well, it should work with live. I thought I tested it. Okay, I did not. Okay. I thought I did, because we did a readathon, but it might be when I'm logged in. I don't know.
Yeah, it might have to be that you're hosting. But
yeah. 'Cause it's not letting me post a link because I'm not logged in for some reason. But yeah, no. If you are interested in our Discord, let us know on Twitter or in our comments. We'll figure it out if you want to come talk to us more.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we will leave it there for today then. So
All right.
thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.